What's up, y'all? My name is Deshaun. I love music, if you couldn't tell by the channel name. 2024 has produced so much amazing music. There are so many albums from so many genres that I have heard. There's so many albums that I have not heard, but the albums that you'll hear about today have touched my soul, made me cry, made me dance, made me laugh, entertained me, or maybe go into a musical coma. How this is gonna work is I'm gonna go down this list. I'm gonna talk about the things that I love about these albums, my favorite and least favorite songs, why the album is where it's at, and why it isn't higher on the list. Before we get into this though, my criteria for what ranks high and lower on the list is based on how many songs I like from the album and how much I love those songs from said album. I'm not judging these off of how deep and introspective an album is. I'm not judging it off the concepts and the backstory and the deeper meaning of said album. I'm strictly judging off of first, enjoyability, meaning doesn't make me smile, doesn't make me bop my head, doesn't make me turn up, jump out my seat, doesn't make me cry, doesn't entertain me. Second, flow, meaning how well people are flowing with the beat or instrumental and how well their voice sounds on said album. Third, production, meaning good beats, instruments, background, samples, mixing. Fourth, replayability, meaning do I come back to said album. And last on the list of criteria importance, lyrics, meaning the use of imagery, entendres, lines that fit the theme of the album or songs on the album. And I'm only gonna say this one time. This is my list. This is my opinion. So I'm not gonna keep going in my opinion every 5 seconds because you think I'm talking objectively. I'm not talking objectively. This is strictly my opinion. Do not come in the comments trying to criticize, critique, or nitpick about my list. Don't come in the comments asking where is this album? How is this over this? Putting this album over this album is crazy, but y'all are gonna do it anyway, so I'm going to just timestamp this. I'm gonna just comment this timestamp, and I'm gonna just leave it at that. This is based off of my interest and experiences with these albums, so if your favorite albums aren't here, if they aren't on my list, or if the album that you think should be higher is on this list, but it's lower, deal with it. With that being said, let's get straight into today's video. We're gonna begin with the good albums, starting with number 10 being We Don't Trust You by Future. This is a hip hop album that leads in production, enjoyability, and flow. Crazy enough, I did not like this album when it first came out. I did not like it that much, but since time has passed, I realized that this album is pretty good, and it's one of my favorites from this year. It begins with a good intro, being We Don't Trust You. The song has amazing production and the flows are crazy, with the second verse being the highlight. Next is Young Metro, which has a fire beat. I don't really like the song. It is decent though. I used to love it when it first came out, but the more time passes, I just like it less and less. Next is Ice Attack, which is a good song. This song has an amazing beat with the second part, with the beat switch being the highlight. Next is another decent song being Type Shit. As soon as I heard this, I could hear girls throwing ass in the club with tight clothes, edges, makeup, the bad bitch glasses. I could hear the BBL cheeks just clapping, and every time I hear this song, I just hear ass cheeks. I do. The beat is hard, but they just lack so much energy on that song. Like, this beat was way too hard for Future to be so lackadaisical. The highlight of this song was obviously Playboy Cardi, and he didn't even do that much. Claustrophobic is next. This song is good, it has an amazing beat. If you are a Future listener, you cannot tell me this wouldn't fit perfectly on DS2 or Beast Mode 2 especially. Next is Like That, and where do I even start with the song? I know Not Like Us is the hit of the year in hip hop, but this song completely shits on that song. It's not even close. This song is amazing for so many reasons, but of course, the feature, Kendrick Lamar. This beat is one of my favorites ever. That beat breakdown, Future's verse, Kendrick's verse, everything about this song is amazing. The next song kind of falls off from the last, being Slimed In. This song is alright, it has a fire beat, but it's just so bland. And I feel the exact same about Magic Don Juan, which is the next song. Next is Cinderella, which has an amazing beat. Travis Scott absolutely killed this feature. This has an amazing hook. Besides the Sip Red Talk to the Devil part, it has amazing production. It's just a great song. Running Out of Time is a decent song. This song really could have been amazing, but it just lacks. It's kind of bland. Next is Fry, which is a goofy, funny, entertaining song about being high. This is another in the club, shaking ass type of song. I know girls are literally in the club right now at this moment throwing ass to this song. The song is decent though. Next is Ain't No Love. This is one of the best on this album. This song also sounds straight off of Beast Mode 2. Can't even explain how good he was flowing on the song. I can't. The flow he had and the beat, they were like PB&J. I wish there were more songs like this because this song was so good. Next is Everyday Hustle. Also, it lacked, could have been way more. It's like he was teasing the whole song. He was so dry on this amazing beat, by the way. Feature was all right because Rick Ross sounds the same on almost every feature that I've ever heard from him, but it's still a decent song. GTA is another dry song, but it honestly works here 10 times more than the other songs when they're like dry and lackadaisical. I don't know why, but it just works here. This song is evil. I mean, the hook is literally telling you to crash out. It's a good song music-wise, terrible when it comes to morality. Next is Seen It All. I wish I didn't see this song at all because this is my least favorite song. I do not like this song. The Quiet Storm sample does not hit at all. I always skip this song. WTF YM is a good song. Sounds straight off of Monster. If you listen to Future, you know exactly what I mean. I love this hook, love the beat. And this closes out with a great outro, being Where My Twin At. This is one of his best songs ever. I remember when this dropped, I didn't hear or see anybody talking about this song when it comes to in real life, on the internet, comment sections. Nobody talks about this song. This is a I love my brother type song. It's honestly just beautiful. And it's definitely one of my favorite outros in general. This album is at number 10 because it's one of the best. Like, if you want to make an argument about how all rappers talk about is drugs, money, and this is what you would use as an excuse for that stupid talking point. This is honestly one of his best albums, and people won't say it now because apparently everything now just sucks. All games, movies, music just sucks. Even though 5 years later we call it a classic. This isn't higher though because there's only one amazing song. There's way too many bland songs on here that just could have been more. Also, the album just kind of gets repetitive. I can only hear Fuck Your Girl music for so long. This is still a good album though, and no doubt the best album Future dropped this year, because he dropped 3. Next is number 9, Being Saheem by Sa Baby. This is another hip hop album that leads in production, enjoyability, replayability, lyrics, and flow. This album I totally wish I reacted to on camera because I slept on this. I was thinking that this was just gonna be a whatever album, but this surprised me a lot because I didn't expect it to be this good. I just didn't. This album begins with an amazing intro, being Don Quan intro. I love how this beat is like teasing, like the beat drop never comes, but it just sets the tone perfectly for one of the hardest songs I've ever heard, being Viking. This song is great, and as soon as I heard it, I knew this was the one. This was gonna be the one with the most views, and it's probably gonna have a music video because it just sounds like a hit. When you hear it, it sounds like a hit. Everything about it. The hook, the beat, the flows, the bars, straight up speed on the highway type of song, which I do not promote, but that's just what it sounds like. Definitely top 3 on this album. Next is Roll With Me, which is decent. It has some bars, but I don't really like the beat, so this song I usually skip. It's not bad though. Anaconda Living is next. Amazing beat, catchy hook, super vibey, super replayable, great song. Next is All The Way. I'd have this at decent, but the second verse just brings it to a great song. He was absolutely sliding on that song. On Film has a good vibe, good hook, good bars. And side note, this album has so many lines that people will not appreciate because it isn't a rapper struggling and being introspective over a boom bap beat. I know most people would think this album is just mumble rap garbage and he's not talking about nothing and it doesn't have a message, so it just instantly invalidates the fact that the music is good. But it's better than most rap albums that people put on a pedestal, not even just in general. This year, some of the best albums that people, talk about from this year, they're not even better than this album. Next is Kodak, which is one of my favorites. Amazing hook, beat, and again, that second verse, sliding, great song. Bell Boys is good. I do have a love and hate relationship with this song. That hook is so stupid. Like, this song is so bad, it's good. So I guess I'll say it's a decent song. Next is Everyday. Another great song. Probably my favorite song on this album. The beat drop, the flows, just a really, really good song. Lost in My Feelings is next. He was flowing, but don't really like this song. I usually skip it. I do find the hook funny though, with the whole boy on yoing thing. Next is Stay Away From Trouble. Also flowing, sliding on that beat. Great song. Next is Sylvan Road, Riding Down Deal. Beautiful beat, first off. That last verse was my favorite part, which balances this out to like a good song. Mirror Pics is a decent song. You could tell this was the one for the hoes. I think it's kind of bland and I skip it every time. Next is Waikiki, which is a decent song. It does have bars, but I just don't like the song because of the beat. 1095 Osborne Street. I cannot explain how beautiful this song is. Caught me so off guard because just how beautiful the song was. The song is just a straight vibe. Like, that last verse, amazing. Great song. Bye is next. This is a funny ass hook. I always skip it though, but it's still a decent song. Save It For Me is another for the hoes type of track. Not me. I love sex songs as long as they sound good, but I skip this because it just doesn't really do much for me. And this album wraps up perfectly with Workin' being the last song, and that's a good song. Now this album is at number 9 because it's super consistent with tons of good songs. This almost was gonna be an honorable mention, but I noticed that I kept coming back to it. I also love how this album doesn't drag, it doesn't waste time on most songs. This is that real deal Atlanta nigga shit, and I love it. Now this isn't higher because lots of the songs are just good and great. There's no all-time favorites, there's no amazing songs. Even the best song on this album is just great, but still a good album. Now we are getting into the really good albums, with number 8 being 2093 by Yeat. This is another hip-hop album that leads in replayability, production, flow, enjoyability. I'll never forget hearing this for the first time because this album was my first favorite album from this year. I think this came out in like March or February or somewhere around there. And when I heard it, I knew this was gonna be on here. This begins with an amazing intro being Psycho CEO. It's one of the best songs and one of my favorites off this album. This beat has like 3 switches and they're all amazing. This song sounds like Batman in The Dark Knight, or like Arkham Asylum, just sitting on top of a building and it's rain like dripping off his cape. That's the type of vibe that this song gives off. Like, this is that riding in the Batmobile at nighttime in the woods type of song. Next is Power Trip. This song will literally make you cry, especially like the first 2 minutes. That first beat, absolutely beautiful, beautiful beat switch. This song could have been amazing, but it kind of dragged, so it brings it down to a great song. I don't really like Breathe, but it literally sounds like you are speeding at 280 miles per hour in a car from like Tron. And next is More, and More is alright. It's a very futuristic song and it transitions perfectly into one of the reasons this album is even on this list, being About the Earth. This is his best song ever, and it's not even close. This is one of my favorite songs from this year. I cannot put into words how good this song is. It's so dreamy, beautiful production, definitely in my top 10 songs this year. Now, I don't really like Nothing Changed, I always skip it, but it does have a nice beat, so it's decent. You Should Know has an amazing beat, but it just kind of lacks. It's still good though. Lifestyle has a good beat, but I don't really like the song. I usually always skip it. The Lil Wayne feature was the best part, but other than that, there's nothing really there. Next is I Love, and I do not fuck with I Love. It just doesn't sound good. I skip it every single time I turn on this album. Tell Me has an amazing beat. It's another Batman production type of song, and that last 30 seconds was just beautiful. It leads perfectly into one of the best songs off this album, being Shade. Beautiful beat. He was absolutely sliding on this beat. That second part was insane too. He was flowing on that as well. Amazing song. And here's where it kind of falls off, because Keep It Pushing, Riot, Team CEO, 2093, and Familia, I always skip those songs. I do not like those songs. Next is Mr. In Between It. Amazing beat, amazing production. Second part is really good. Next is Psycho Kane, Ass, pure ass cheeks. I would never like that song. Run They Mouth, skip. You can see a pattern where the second half kind of falls off from the first. If We Being Real, another amazing song. Production, insane. The build up to the beat drop, all of it. I really wish this was the outro because it would have perfectly wrapped this up. But instead of it ending on this song, it ends on 1093, which has amazing production, but it's just a decent song overall. Now this album is not a lyrical masterpiece, okay? It's an enjoyable album. It's one of the best produced albums this year. If he cut a good like 9 songs though, this will probably be album of the year. So much needed to be cut out, so much. But other than that, this is a good album. Next is number 7, being Hit Me Hard and Soft by Billie Eilish. This is an alternative album that leads in production and flow. What cracks me up about Billie Eilish is anytime you see her on social media or in an interview, she's always like smiling, laughing, telling jokes. She's all bubbly and like hype and happy vibes. But then she hops in the studio and makes this depressing ass music. Now this album begins with one of the best songs, being Skinny. This is a beautiful song. This is a very soft, sad intro, and it really sets the tone for this album. And it transitions into Lunch. This is a good catchy song that sounds straight out of a movie. The breakdown is the best part of this song though. Next is the best song on this album. Well, I flip-flop between this and Skinny and another song that I'll talk about soon, but I'll say this at the moment. Chihiro, amazing song. She literally sounds like Clairo in this song, but it's still an amazing vibe. She was singing her ass off. The breakdown was also fire. It sounded like something straight off of Currents, which is top 10 album all time. Just a roller coaster of a song with just amazing production. Next is Birds of a Feather, which was the obvious I'm trying to make a catchy hit type of song. This is just a decent song to me. It's not that special. I know that this song is a hit, but I just think the song is decent. Next is Wildflower, which is another amazing song, amazing hook, amazing production. This is one of her best singing performances and one of my favorites from this album. Speaking of great songs, next is The Greatest, which is another amazing song. This is the other song that I always switch in between. There's lots of ukulele action on this album. Lots. And this is probably the best ukulele action in this album. The hook is fire. The obvious highlight is the way it builds into the climax, because this song literally, that beat drop breakdown is the absolute peak of this album. It's probably my favorite part of this album, like alone. That part alone just gives me goosebumps every time I hear it. Next is L'amour de ma vie. This is one of the best vocal performances she had, and this is when I knew this album was gonna be on my list. If you look at my reaction, that was when I knew that this was probably gonna be on here. This song has a catchy hook and the beat switch was also fire. Really good song. Next is The Diner, which is a decent song. It's definitely one of my least favorite songs. Bittersweet is another decent song. I wish it would have stayed on the first beat, but I do like that last beat switch because it honestly was probably the best part of this song, and it perfectly transitions into the outro being Blue. This is another decent song. The last beat switch is probably the best part, and I swear to God that violin sounds straight out of the Outlast home screen. Now I know there's no correlation between those two things at all. I don't know if there's Billie Eilish Outlast fans that like come together in some world, but I don't know. If you know, you know. Now this album is at number 7 because there's a lot of beautiful songs that just sound complete and they sound good. This is very cinematic. The transitions are very good. Now the reason this isn't higher, first off, the last few songs don't really hit for me. The Diner all the way to Blue is what I mean by that, so it kind of brings the album down a little bit. But yeah, this album has like 5 amazing songs and the rest are just decent, so it kind of evens out to like number 7. And lastly, I'm a person of energy, vibes, chill. I'm very chill right now. I'm not super hype right now. I'm very relaxed right now. Even the sad songs are still good songs. It's just I don't really like sad, depressing ass music. I don't. and I never will. This is still a really good album though, and definitely one of my favorite alternative albums ever. Now we are going from really good to great albums. This is when it became clear that this video was going to be difficult to make. These albums from here and up are the ones where if you said album of the year, I wouldn't really argue. Starting with the great albums, we have to talk about Why Lord by No Worries. This is a hip hop collab album between Anderson .Paak and Knowledge, who is a good producer. This leads in flow and production, and when I say production, I mean it in all caps. This begins with a fire interlude intro being Thank You. Prepare for me to spam the word transition a lot because it transitions perfectly into 86 Centra. This is easily one of the best beats on this album. Anderson .Paak was absolutely sliding on that beat. This transitions amazingly into Move On. The hook is so good on that song, and it's just a vibe. A really, really good song. And this transitions perfectly into Keep Her, which has an amazing catchy hook. This is definitely one of the best, you know, He Won't Love You Like I Do type of songs. This also has one of the best features as well. Great song. I love that song so much, especially that hook. Next is one of my favorite transitions when the song goes into Distractions. This has one of the best beats, and he was flowing on that song. Really good song. Next is Looking, which is like an interlude. It's just a beat playing, and it transitions nicely into Where I Go, which has an amazing beat. This is your usual, I know we argue, but I love you in the end type of songs. I will say, the song, the feature, super weak. And I used to love this song, I used to love that feature, but it's just decent to me now. And I don't know, like besides the hook, the song is just weak to me. Next is Daydreaming, which is an amazing song. Very 80s, 90s R&B vibe. This is the Is This Love Real type of song. Definitely one of the catchiest songs I've heard all year. And next is one of the best songs I've heard all year. Instant top 10. As soon as I heard this on camera, I knew this is probably gonna be one of my favorite songs from this year. And it is. It's top 10. No joke. This song is literally perfect. I cannot describe how good this song is. Everyone killed this song. Even Snoop Dogg, who didn't even rap, he just talked. I wouldn't change a thing, I wouldn't add a thing, I wouldn't remove anybody on this song. Everything about this song, keep it exactly the way it is. And it's funny because it's basically just a song about his girl kicking him out his house, or their house. And it's just so good. It's a perfect song. Next is Fall Through, which is decent. I don't really like this song. I usually skip it if I'm being honest because I don't really like the beat. Battlefield is Why I Wish He Rapped More. Don't like the hook, but he was flowing on them verses. Good song. Here I Am is next. He was absolutely sliding on that. It's a good storytelling song. Feeling like shit, seeing your girl boss up and move on type of song. And it transitions perfectly into Out the Way, which I do not like because the song just sounds so basic. She Used has an amazing beat. Fire flows. This is your usual girl, it was my fault type of song, and it just fits so well with the Chipmunk voice. Usually I laugh when it comes to like Chipmunk voice songs, but this actually is good. The sampling on this beat is amazing, one of my favorite beats, and just overall good song. Next is More of It, which has a perfect transition, probably one of my favorite transitions. Beautiful beat, nice flows. Great song. Next is Never RMX, which is a good song. Next is one of my favorite transitions, being Distant Space. Absolutely beautiful song, a straight vibe. Really, really good song. Next is one of my least favorite songs, being Walk On By. This beat is fire, but the song is just so basic. It's so basic. Beat is alright, song is decent, but the features, even Earl Sweatshirt, I like Earl Sweatshirt, but that verse is just so weak. Then there's Even More, has a fire beat, but it's not really a song. It's basically just like the end of a movie, you know, rolling the credits in album form. Now this is at number 6 because of one, transitions. So many amazing transitions. Like truly, I've never heard this many amazing transitions in an album, especially from this year alone. Definitely number 1 when it comes to transitions this year. You can go look at my reaction. I lost it when every single transition happened. Also, this just feels good to listen to, man. That's what I like. I like stuff that is good to listen to. Now, this isn't higher because the second half was just a handful of like decent songs. Lots of the songs were very just basic and just super predictable towards the end. Still though, it's a great album. Next is number 5, being Alligator Bites Never Heal by Doechii. This is another hip hop album that leads in enjoyability, lyrics flow, replayability. And when I say enjoyability, I mean it in all caps. This starts with a decent intro being Stankapool. I usually skip this. Next is Bullfrog, which the highlight of that song is probably the second verse because she was flowing. This is a decent song as well. Next is Boiled Peanuts. I don't really like that song a lot, but the verses were good. This has a fire beat and was probably the best song so far. And I'll never forget when I first heard this right here was when I was going to turn the album off. Then Now Is a River came on. Honestly, I wish this album began here because the first few songs were kind of weak, and this kind of fits the theme of this album more. This is a good storytelling song, and the way it's structured, it's like a therapy session. This is about healing and filling the void, but it's like in a playful manner. I don't know how to explain it. You just gotta hear it. This song has so much personality and charisma. She was flowing over that beat, and it transitions perfectly into Catfish, which is where this album really starts taking off. This song is great. She was talking her shit, and it's one of those like, I'm that bitch type of songs. Next is Skip, which is good. That part where she was singing and like dragging her words, that was really, really good. Then there's Hide and Seek, which has one of the best hooks on this album. She was singing her ass off, absolutely flowing on that last part. Great song. Next is Bloom, which is a interlude, die down kind of track about struggling with finding time for family, job, and yourself. It's short. I usually skip it, but it's still a decent song. And it goes perfectly into Wait, which is a like R&B type of song about relaxing and not stressing over yourself. Wait is basically the last song, but better. It's a very decent, reflective song. Next is Death Row, which is also decent. And I know you're like, how is this number 5 if it has so many decent songs? Patience. Trust me, patience. Next is Prophet, which is also another good song when she's just talking her shit. I got my money, I came up type of song. And it perfectly transitions into Boom Bap, which is the first amazing song on this album. I love this song because it's basically a satire song on the topic of female rap and how people always want you to spit, but spitting is only recognized when it's a man struggling over a boom bap beat. And anything that isn't considered real hip hop. Everyone is saying this BS talking point about how all they talk about is their pussy, when Doechii's right there and she can literally do everything. Like literally, most men in the rap game cannot do what Doechii does. Your favorites, the people that y'all put on pedestals, they can't do what she's doing. And she's actually better than most of the people that people put on pedestals in hip hop. She can literally sing good. She can do melodies, she can flow, she can hit high notes, she can spit lyrics, she can make good hooks, she can have energy, she has head bopping songs, she can make TikTok songs. Now here's when this being number 5 becomes justified, because the next 5 songs are all great to all-time favorite songs. Starting with Nissan Altima. This is a song people will use to represent female rap and undermine how good she is, because you're narrative chasing and need to have all they talk about is their pussy argument. Now, I usually don't like songs like these because they just don't sound good to me, but this is the female rap song of this album. She talks about dick, pussy, vagina, and everything in between. That second verse is the highlight, no doubt about it. She was absolutely flowing on that part. Next is my favorite song on this album, GTFO. This song in one sentence is "Get the fuck out my way, bitch." And I absolutely lost it when I first heard this. I did. I literally could not finish the album because I kept rewinding this song over and over and over and over again. This is definitely in my top 10 songs from this year. Features amazing, amazing verses, amazing hook, energy, hype. I can listen to this song over and over and I can never get tired. It is a perfect song. The song is perfect. There's nothing I would change. Next is Huh. And everything I said about the last song, just enter it here, except there's no feature. And I flip-flop between and GTFO all the time, but I love this song so much. Absolutely perfect song. Next is Slide, which has an amazing hook. This is an R&B song about fucking. It's so good, and she was flowing, especially on that last part. Amazing song. Fireflies is another R&B song about fucking, and this is way more intimate than any other song on here, and it's kind of uncomfortable at times because it literally sounds like she's getting stroked on the beat. Like I felt like I was being cucked, which I am not with at all. Next is Beverly Hills, which is the I'm fed up and I'm done with that nigga type of track. This is a good song, and I love how petty this track is. It's such a feel-good song for people who are leaving a toxic relationship, or at least for a week until they eventually go back, because who actually leave toxic relationships after the first time? The last verse is the highlight. She was flowing on that part. And this album closes with Alligator Bites Never Heal, the song, which is a beautiful song. It sounds like a chapter in life is closing, while at the same time, another one is opening slowly. It's a very dreamy type of song, and it's a good outro. This is in my top 10 because of how versatile it is. It has something for every mood, every situation, and not even just that. It does good at all of those, because just being versatile doesn't mean nothing if you aren't good at it. Another thing, this album has so much personality. You cannot label this album because it is everything, like she said in Boom Bap. Like, if you have not heard this, I guarantee when I describe these songs, your assumption is not gonna match what the song actually is. I promise you. Another thing I love is how humanizing this album is, because especially in mainstream hip hop, it's too many black women who are just negative stereotypes, and that is the only type of black women that can survive in hip hop or become popular, because not because of them, because that's the only thing y'all will listen to. That's the only thing that can get attention. I hate how everyone is like, female rappers, this and that. Like, no, y'all are the ones listening, watching the music videos. Like, it makes no sense. We keep blaming female rappers, but aren't y'all the ones getting them views? Now, this isn't higher because of all the decent songs. I have a few all-timers and amazing songs from this album, but the decent songs kind of weigh it out. Regardless though, this is not even a good album. This is a great album, and it's one of the best hip-hop albums I've heard this year. And now we are going from great to amazing tier. This is when it gets even more difficult, because I can for sure flip these four. If you call these four album of the year, I absolutely agree. There's no argument at all. So to begin with the amazing albums, we're gonna start with number 4, Blue Lips by Schoolboy Q. And it's insane because I slept on this. I didn't think this would be worthy of reacting to, so I listened to it off camera, and I was wrong. Just like most of these albums on here, I listened to them off camera, and then I was wrong about them. This is another hip hop album that leads in everything, and that everything starts with one of my favorite intros from this year, being Funny Guy, which is an amazingly produced song. It's super catchy, very good song. And it transitions perfectly into pop, which I absolutely disliked at first, but I love that song now. That song is so good. That beat switch, Rico Nasty, the hook, and it perfectly transitions into one of the best songs from this year, which is Thank God For Me. I also did not like this song at first, but it is so good now. I can listen to this song over and over. That first transition, and then that second one that goes back into the original beat, like, that's one of the best moments on this album alone. This is also one of the best radio hits because it just sounds like a hit. You could tell he wanted this to be the one. This was the one that was gonna have the views and the radio plays, like, you could just tell. Next is Blue Slides, which has one of the best beats and flows, especially that last verse. That piano and violin combo is so good. Violins, pianos, they're always gonna get me. And when you put them together with a nice beat, it's over. This is introspective and deep, and it actually does a good job at it. Sometimes you gotta be a deadbeat so the kids gotta eat. That is a bar I will never fuck with. But other than that, this song is great. Urine 101, he was absolutely sliding. Really good song, especially in the middle. Next is Lovebirds. I also did not like this at first, but I love this song now. Amazing features, the singing, how random this song was. There's so many good flows, so many good beat switches that result in this being a great song. Next is Movie, which has my second favorite feature this year behind Kendrick on Like That. And I'm glad Schoolboy didn't rap on this beat. Well, he did for like 20 seconds, but it wouldn't have topped this feature. That feature was amazing. Amazing song. Cooties has a hard beat, but I don't really like the flow. I used to like this song. It used to be like in my top 5, but it went down. I don't like this song no more, but it's still decent. Next is Ohio, which is so groovy. I really wish the first part didn't switch, because that like first part of the song, if you heard it, you know what I'm talking about. That first part was so good. It was so catchy. The hook in the beginning, and then it goes to that second beat. I don't like that beat. I think he was trying to like do a Thank God For Me part 2. That second part in between didn't exist. This would be one of my favorite songs on here, like top 3. It also has one of the best features on this album from this year, being Freddie Gibbs. He killed this beat, like, oh, he killed this beat. Great song. Foe or Fuchs or Fox, whatever it's called. I used to think this was the worst song on the album, but I love this song now. This is one of the best songs on here. The beat, chaotic, because I know Danny Brown would have absolutely killed this fast-paced experimental rap type of beat. I really wish Danny Brown was on this song. But yeah, this song grew me so much. Next is First. I do not like this besides that last part. That part is one of the best parts of this album. And next is Nunu. Where do I even start with this song? This song is probably top 3. And I keep saying top 3, top 10. I don't mean it literally, like I don't have a ranking in my head, but whatever song I say is top 3, top 10, just know that means I really like that song. And this is definitely, like if I had a top 3, this would be in top 3 from this year. Next is Back in Love. I love the hook, but I don't like the verses. I usually skip this because I don't really like it. Something I do really like though is the next song, which is Lost Time, which has the second best beat on this album. I feel like this is the best hook I've heard this year, from rap at least. Just a beautiful song, and I mean it, a beautiful song. And then comes the best beat on this album to me, which is Germany 86. And this song, absolutely perfect song. And it's funny because it goes from one of my favorites to one of my least favorites, being Time Killers. This song has a good beat, but I'd never ever play this on its own. I don't like the flows at all. I don't like this song. And next is Pig Feet, which sounds straight out of NBA 2K. To all my 2K players watching this, go listen to this and you cannot tell me this would not be on 2K. Like the way it builds into the beat drop in the beginning, it's insane. No joke. If this song plays and you don't bop your head, you are either lying or you are soulless and need to stay the fuck away from me. And then the last song is Smile, which is a decent, alright song. This basically is like the roll credits, fade to black scene of the album. Now, this is on my list because of one, features. Most of these features are really good. Another thing, production. There's so many good beats, beat switches, and just production galore. Another thing, this album is very enjoyable. Like out of all these albums, this is probably like top 3 when it comes to replayability. I think I've listened to this the most out of all of these. Yeah, I think so, because on my Apple, whatever it's called, the 2024 Apple Wrapped or whatever it's called, I listened to this album the most out of any this year, so this had to be in the top 5. The reason this isn't higher though is because there's too many songs that I don't like, and it's not a lot of songs I don't like, it's just 3 of them. And in order to go higher in this list, like, you gotta come with it. And definitely, no question, the best hip-hop album this year. No, it's not GNX, and it's not fucking Chromacopia. It's not. I don't care what the top comments say and all the popular comments and popular people have to say. This album is better than those 2 albums combined. They are. It's not even close. Number 3 is Gap Year by Layla. This is a R&B album that also leads in everything. And as soon as I heard this, I knew this was gonna be in my top 10. I already knew. It starts with a great intro, being talent show. I can't tell if this is actually from a talent show because it definitely sounds like it, because it's not like recorded in a studio. This is like recorded from a phone. I don't know how to explain it. You just gotta know. Next is Sink to Rise, which gives a 2000s R&B type of vibe. This is a really good song. Are You Down is next, which also sounds straight from the 2000s. I don't know why, but it reminds me of the Cheetah Girls. It's your usual Do You Feel Me, Are You Really Down For Me type of song. You've heard it before. If you listen to R&B, you've heard it before. If you don't know by now, is another 2000s vibe. This reminds me of TLC, and it's so good. This transitions into one of the best songs I've heard all year, being Want To. Amazing hook. This hook is so addicting. It's so catchy. This is definitely the best hook off of this album. Amazing song. Sonny Homework freestyles, an interlude of her just rapping. It's a short, funny song. It's not really a song, so I can't really grade it. Next is the TikTok hit, Being Like That. This song is way more than a TikTok song. This is a great song, and that hook is one of the best I've heard this year. Next is one of the best songs, being Grand Opening. Beautiful production, one of my favorite songs of all time. And this transitions perfectly into another all-timer, being Blackberry. This is in my top 10 songs I've heard this year. And I'm so serious. Go listen to the song right now. It's not just amazing. This is one of my favorite songs ever. Ever. The highlight of this song is the song. There's no specific part. It's the song itself. This song is literally perfect. Like, I can't explain. I can't. You just gotta go listen to it. Mommy Nelly is an interlude, so nothing to say. Just the cliche person on the voicemail type of thing. Next is Could Be, which is a good song. But this album is so good. It's like one of my least favorite songs. It's the usual I Could Be Everything You Need type of song. If You're Listening is a good interlude where she's singing her ass off again. The background vocals are so good on this song, and it transitions perfectly into We're So Over, which is your I'm done with that nigga type of song. This is a good song, good production, and it transitions into one of my favorite songs ever, being I Don't Need You Anymore. It's probably the best song, if it isn't Blackberry. And I swear to God, when I heard this song for the first time, I was literally drowning in it. It was like 3 a.m. when I heard this, because I was just up. I was literally drowning, and I didn't want to be saved. I wanted to drown forever in that song. One of the best songs I've heard all year, and I'll keep it at that. Next is Not My Problem, which everything I said about Like That, just insert it here. I relate more to this song, you know, not letting haters, dream killers, you know, people in YouTube comment sections complaining about your top 10 albums of 2024, not letting those people block your thinking. And I relate so much to this song, man. This hook is so good. This song is just so good. This transitions into another great song, being Flyer Than You, which grew on me so much. Amazing production, amazing hook. I love the robotic Daft Punk sounding background vocals. And this closes out with Coupe de Ville, which is a good outro, and it is one of my least favorites because this album has so many good songs. Who's somebody that people put on a pedestal in R&B right now? SZA. I'm sorry, bro. Layla is better than SZA, and I know that's going to hurt a lot of y'all feelings, but SZA, even though I think SZA is good at making music, her singing is not that good compared to other people. But that's a conversation y'all don't want to have. Layla is better than SZA, bro. And I love SZA. SZA has one of my favorite albums ever, but I'm still not gonna be in denial. The production, the beats, the ad-libs, the background vocals, the instruments, just so good. Something that's funny about this album, which is not like a good or a bad thing, but this album definitely gives the vibes of girl who gets treated badly by the bad boy in high school stereotype. Like, if you hear this album, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. This literally feels like the girl in high school that messes with the bad boy. Now, the reason this isn't higher, a few songs have what I call a gear problem, where They like go to second gear when they could have gone to 5. Lots of these songs are also just very basic when it comes to writing and structure. So they were kind of missing something at times, but that's just me nitpicking and finding excuses to justify why this is at number 3. And mind you, this is at number 3. That is not me saying this album is bad. This album is amazing. I just happen to like 2 albums better. So let's first talk about number 2, being Brat by Charlie XCX. I was supposed to react to this in December. When I reacted to that Billie Eilish album, it was supposed to be this album. I was like, oh, it's probably not gonna be that good. I listened to it off camera and I took another L. It says this is in the dance genre, but it sounds electronic, but then some people say dance is electronic. So I don't know what genre this is. It doesn't matter anyway, because this album is amazing. And this begins with an 8-song run of great to all-timer songs, starting with 360. This song has a super catchy hook. The beat is hard and it just makes you want to dance. Like, this song is so good. It's so good. Next is one of the best produced songs I've heard all year, and it's probably in my top 10 favorite songs this year, being Club Classics. I cannot help myself but to bob my head every time I hear this song. This is straight club party music. And I used to not like this song, but the more I hear it, it's probably like top 3 on this album, if I'm being honest. Next is Sympathy is a Knife, which has an amazing hook and amazing production. Next is I Might Say Something Stupid, which is a great song. And it's about like not knowing if you fit in and belong. It's a very stuck in my deep thoughts type of song. It isn't hype like the past few songs, but it's very, very sad. Her voice sounds very good on this sad ass beat. Then it goes right back to the dance hype type of songs with Talk Talk. This is one of the best hooks I've ever heard in my life. It's way too catchy. Way too catchy. Amazing production, and seriously, that hook is way too good. Next is Von Dutch, which is another great production party type of song. It also has one of the best hooks on this album. The sounds in this song, I can't even explain. You just gotta hear it. This song like has so many like 360 8D audio. I don't even know. You just gotta hear it. Then there's the best song on this album, being Everything Is Romantic. The hook, the beat, the production, the sounds, tempos, instrument, and then that last part, just perfect song. Top 10 this year. Next is Rewind, which has another great hook. This is a song about overthinking and going back to the past. The verses are all right, but I really come to the song for the hook. I really love that hook, which brings it to an amazing song. Insane production, and that breakdown is so good. And this right here is where the 8-song run kind of falls off a tiny bit. None of those first 8 songs are good or decent songs. They are all great, amazing, and all-timers. All of them. So anything other than something being great or amazing was just underwhelming. So that brings me to So I. This is one of them dramatic look out the window while it's raining on the bus type of songs. I like the hook. I don't really like the verses. So I'll just say this is a decent song. Next is Girl So Confusing, which I feel the same exact way about. I like the hook, but the verses. This song is about how hard it is being a girl and having a fallout with a friend, I think. And I don't have a vagina. I don't have to deal with the label of being a woman. Instead, I have to be a man, so maybe I like this song better if I was a girl. I like the hook, but everything else just ain't it for me. Next is Apple, which the same thing here. I like the hook and the beat, but the song is kind of just bland. I like the middle part, but other than that, this is straight H&M mall music. I skip it usually when I listen to this album. Now, what I never skip is B2B, aka Back to Back. This is probably my second favorite song, and it's one of the best songs I've ever heard. Definitely also in my top 10 this year. And I probably am past 10. I think I've said top 10 at least 20 times, so oh well. Then that beat drop, that beat switch, just what a song, man. Next is Mean Girls, which is another amazing hook. This is one of the most stereotypical, rebellious, edgy cheerleader, mean white girl Britney Spears songs I've ever heard. Piano breakdown probably brings this to like a great song. That piano breakdown is so good. I Think About It All the Time is one of the last few songs. It's also a good song. The song has a great hook, but I don't really like the verses. And this album closes out with 365, which is basically just 360, but worse. This is one of my least favorite songs, but it's still a good song. That like breakdown, the last part of the song, it sounds like a corrupted file. And I know this is probably when someone comments or thinks in their head, that's the point, her soul is corrupted. Or some overly deep analogy to justify the fact that I don't like it. Like, I don't give a fuck about the context and the deep analogy. I don't give a fuck. I don't like it. And if you tell me the deeper meaning to it, it wouldn't change anything. This is that edgy, mean girl, girl, TikTok girl music. And it's funny because I don't think this album was made for men at all. This is for girls. And if we want to get real specific, this is for white girls. This is that white girl music. And I don't have a big enough ego to be hyper masculine and act like I'm too cool for this music. Like, no, bro. Good music is good music, and this album is amazing. And even though there's more songs I like on Gap Year, I just like the songs that I really like a little more on this album. Now, the only reason this isn't number one is because of So I, that girl song, Apple, and 365. If those 4 songs weren't on here, this would easily be number one. And this album is so good that even with those 4 songs being there, it's still number 2, which shows you how much I like this album. I'm gonna be honest, this is probably in my top 50 favorite albums of all time. I don't know where, but it's definitely in there. If you have been subbed to me for the past 3 months and you actually keep up with my posts, you know exactly what number 1 is. My favorite album from 2024 is Yes, Bird's Eye by Raven Lenae. This is a R&B album that I've not seen no mainstream media outlets talk about at all. I just remember speed running through albums in my free time, and I just came across this. I seen the cover and I was like, you know what, let's check this out. It looked like it would be good. I heard it, and I did have this in my honorable mentions at first because I thought her voice was super annoying when I first heard this, but then I gave it another chance and I kept coming back. And then again, and then again. First off, this album begins with a great song, Being Genius. I used to think this gave me camp rock vibes. It kind of still does, but it has an amazingly catchy hook. She sung her ass off on that song. This goes perfectly into Bad Idea, which is an amazing song about her getting cheated on. Because this is R&B, and what R&B album does not have a song about getting cheated on? It has a catchy hook, and it's on this like Pac-Man, dreamy, and she completely slid on that beat. Next is One Wish, which is a good song. Amazing beat, amazing hook, where she was singing her ass off. Her voice fits this song so well. But you know whose voice didn't? Childish Gambino's. And I love the show Atlanta. It's one of my favorite shows, but he definitely should have not been on the song. A feature was not necessary. It wasn't. And I get it, music is a business. You gotta network, and it's all about money and, you know, working with people. I get that, but I really wish that feature was not here. It was not needed. Next is Dream Girl, which the same thing here. Ty Dolla $ign is really good on features. He's one of the best people to have for a feature, but it just wasn't needed. This has a good beat, and she was singing her ass off again. This song is one of those Given to My Love and Let Go type of songs, and that beat breakdown is also fire. Now here's where this album goes from good to amazing tier, because the next 7 songs are all amazing to all-timers. Starting with Candy. This is a very Jamaican vibe type of song. I don't know if she's Jamaican, but this song definitely was inspired by Jamaican music. This is one of those like, you taste like candy, I wanna taste you, I wanna love you type of songs. This song is so simple, but it's just great. It really is. Then we got Love Is Blind. This is one of those I should have known better, you don't really love me type of songs. The breakdown part of the song is amazing. Just an amazing song in general. It's one of the best songs on here, especially that hook. That hook is amazing. Next is Love Me Not, and this is one of those toxic songs. I don't need you, but I want you type of songs. And this also sounded straight off of Disney Channel, but this is so good that I don't even care. And I don't mean that as a bad thing, because Disney Channel literally has some of the best songs ever. So I'm not saying that as a bad thing or a diss. This has one of the best hooks on here. It's so catchy. And that second verse is so good. And here's when this album starts going nuts. Being from scratch. The production on this song, absolutely beautiful, and I truly mean it. Absolutely amazing hook. Second verse, she was just flowing. Just amazing song. Next is One of One. Again, amazing song, amazing hook. She was singing her ass off the most in this song. Like, this song was like her best singing performance. She was singing her ass off. This is one of my all-time favorite songs. Probably my second favorite song from here. This song is so good. And I say second favorite song because my first favorite song, the number one, is Pilot. I don't know if it's the best song I've heard this year, but it definitely is the most beautiful song. And I'd probably say this is top 5, top 3 songs I've heard this year. And I'm gonna just let the song speak for itself. Go listen to the damn song. And then this closes out with an amazing intro, which is rare. People don't understand the power of outros and intros. This has an amazing outro, being Days. This is one of those I found a better me, I found myself type of outros. This also gives me campfire, Disney Channel, and s'mores type of vibes. But seriously, the flow she had, the production, the hook, everything about this song, just amazing. Now, the reason this is number one is because of how dreamy this album is. Another thing, the hooks here are insane. There are so many good hooks. Like, I know most of these hooks by heart. Like, if you told me, what's the hook for blank, blank, and blank, I would probably sing them or tell you the lyrics because they're just so memorable. And no joke, her voice is top 5 most beautiful voices I've ever heard. And I'm not glazing, dick riding, or trying to hit. I'm being genuine. On lots of these songs, she literally sounds like she's flying with a mic in her hand. She doesn't sound like she's in a studio because her voice is just so smooth. Like, she has a beautiful voice. This took the short format with this album being 11 songs, and it did an amazing job at it. If One Wish and Dream Girl weren't on this album, this would literally be a perfect album. And those songs are good songs. They're not decent songs. They're still good songs. There's not a single decent song, not a single bad song. All of these songs are good and up. And this is definitely in my top 50 all time. This and Brat, they're in my top 50 all time. And this is probably one of my favorite R&B albums ever. And it's definitely the best album that I've heard this year. Now, thank you so much for watching this video. I can finally get back to reacting to old albums and whatever albums I want to react to that come out recently. Yeah, we're gonna get back to the reactions, and I'm finally going to get to react to SOS by SZA. So until then, don't idolize celebrities. Don't put people on pedestals. Don't put these celebrities, musicians, artists on pedestals. Don't be a fan. Just listen to the music. So I'll see you on the next video. Make sure y'all be safe, and God bless your soul.